All right. That's how we want to start. RJ, we're back. Still
What's up,
talking about
Tyler?
welterweights. We talked about welterweights a lot last episode, but the story is never ending with the welterweights, and things are kind of heating up with everybody. So there's a lot to cover.
A lot going on in this division, and it's craziness, man.
Oh man, it's getting extreme. Colby Covington is doing Colby Covington things, and nobody really likes it, but that's the character he plays, and he's kind of getting Pete for it. Did you hear what happened?
I I caught some passing words, but I haven't really dove into any of the videos. Tell me what's going on between Colby and Jon Anik.
All right, here we go. I'll try and keep it brief and straight to the point. We got Colby Covington weighs in at UFC 286 for the backup fighter. That's a surprise to all of us. And usually when people weigh in as backups, they're kind of next for the title. That's usually how it runs. And
Sometimes, not always.
yes, never always, but that's kind of the assumption we take.
It's a good look for the company, I think. That the company likes when somebody does that for them. It's like they made the weight, they showed up, they didn't have to, they're not scheduled necessarily for the bout. So it looks good for the fighter to do stuff like that. But I mean, Anthony Smith just was a backup fighter. He ain't getting a title shot next. You know what I mean? And that's just from recent memory. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a shoe into a title fight, but I can understand how it would look good. The thing that gets it is when Dana White says, "Oh yeah, no matter what happens, Colby's next."
Yeah,
That's a little weird, but
yeah.
we'll get into that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, absolutely, all good. So Colby does that. Dana White comes out and says, Colby's gonna be next. So we got Belal Muhammad, who's on a 7-8 fight. I don't even know. I keep forgetting to look, but he's on a very high winning streak and really should, in my opinion, be next for the title with Leon. But that's neither here nor there. We'll keep moving. Belal takes to Twitter. I believe Twitter is the first place he goes, starts talking about the whole Colby situation after Dana saying he's next. Understandable because he's on his winning streak. He has a strong argument against Colby. So we get this beef going. We got Belal going at Colby going back at him. And it all kind of unfolds early this week, Monday or Tuesday, I want to say, where Colby goes on a podcast. I'm sorry, I don't know which podcast specifically, but if I find it, I'll put it on. And he blasts Jon Anik. And I'm bringing Jon Anik into there out of nowhere, because where did that come from? We got Jon Anik, who is good friends with Belal, because Belal is on a podcast with Jon Anik's brother, so understandable that they're friends. Jon Anik goes to Twitter, I believe, as this all is unfolding, and basically just states his thoughts in the most Jon Anik way. Nice guy. I believe he said something along the lines of, you just got to feel for Belal in these types of situations. He's on this winning streak. He has an argument to get the next title shot. And then Colby, out of nowhere, well, not nowhere, but on this podcast, just starts blasting Jon Anik. Like, brutal things were said on this podcast to the point where it's almost too far. Against a guy like Jon Anik, nobody took lightly to what Colby said. And I don't even have to say it. You just kind of have to assume it's Colby. He's going to say some extreme things. But that's kind of where we're at. And it's all kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Tyler. You don't go after Anik, okay? Anik's the man. Everybody loves Anik. Anik is as straight down the middle as a commentator and a play-by-play guy can be. He's always does his homework, treats everybody fairly, keeps the energy up. Anik's the man. Anik's one of us. We can't be shitting on Anik because you don't like. It's not even like you kind of made it seem like it's not like he said anything bad or mean against Colby, like he didn't deserve it. all he was saying is, my guy Belal, man, that kind of sucks to be him right now, which is completely true. So I don't know. I mean, I know Colby's got the Colby thing that he does, and he's got to talk and be crazy. But this is the thing. That guy was just a ghost for a year. Like, when you say come out of nowhere, he literally came out of nowhere and got on the scale. Like, he has been crickets, we haven't heard a peep out of Colby since his last fight with Jorge Masvidal. And then obviously shortly after that, he got hit in the face, at a restaurant, and that was all we've heard. We haven't heard anything. I understand you got legal actions. Maybe you can't be too loud, but to just come out and, like, you don't have to be that outrageous just to get your name out there again. He's a popular guy. Just being in the talks again, he'll get headlines just for being him. He doesn't have to go badmouth Jon Anik, man. Like, it's kind of messed up in my opinion. I mean, Anik's the man, like, and let's be honest, like, you're not gonna, after all that legal stuff that you just went through, are you gonna go assault Jon Anik?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Like,
a lot.
Yeah, it just feels unnecessary. It's I felt like this happens with Conor sometimes too, and like these guys that have these types of personalities. Even Uncle Chael always did it with a bit of class almost, but even Uncle Chael, to an extent, but like there's like a line that you don't have to cross. And I know it's easy to get like caught up in your feelings when you're like trying to portray this tough guy thing, and it's like, oh, I'll kill you, I'll kill anybody, and it's like, all right, man, like, why don't you just like fight and do your job, and not for nothing, like, be grateful, because Belal definitely deserves it more than Colby Covington does at this moment. I don't really think anybody would disagree with that. I heard some other controversy. I'd love to get your opinion on it. It's not necessarily controversy, it's the wrong word. Maybe it's like a theory, if you will.
A theory.
Yes. Brandon Schaub, right? I don't know if anybody out there watches the Schaub show. I love watching Schaub. I think he's funny. Schaub thinks the UFC and Dana White and company presented Colby, hey, look, you drop this stuff going on, this legal stuff, just drop it completely, and we'll give you a title shot. It kind of resonates with me when you think about the situation, because all the legal stuff just sort of disappeared. Colby's back, Masvidal's back, and Dana didn't even hesitate for a second when he told everybody, after he always tells people he doesn't make fights right after the fights.
I don't make fights on the
night of the fights. And then literally the only time he ever is like, doesn't matter what happens, Colby's next. Since when? So Colby who? So what are you talking about? This guy hasn't fought in over a year, had 2 title shots. Why is it all of the sudden, no matter what happens, when we got like 5 guys that deserve it? So I'm not saying Schaub is right, but it's interesting. What do you think about that?
Interesting take. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even process that like aspect. That's a great like connection, which I probably wouldn't have thought of. It is. I mean, how are you just gonna drop all that legal action? However, I could see it's definitely possible. Connections. People. It's just a little fishy. I don't know how I feel about it, but if that's the route they took to get where we're at, then what are we going to do? I just hope, at the end of the day, if Belal keeps winning, we have to give him a title shot, and that's the end of the story, because he can't just keep winning. I think their whole scheme is to get Belal out of here. I think it's against Belal more than it is with Colby, that situation. I think they don't Belal so much that they're going to do something to get someone in there.
Which I don't really know why. he always dresses cool. He's pretty decent on the mic, and he's a good fighter. I mean, I don't understand why this guy's got to jump through so many hoops, man. Like when you look at the people, especially like the last couple fights he's won, dude. I mean,
I mean, yeah.
that
There's not
stoppage
much to
win,
say.
that stoppage win over our boy, Philly boy, remind
Oh,
me of his
Sean
name,
Brady,
Sean Brady. Well, that dude is like the future.
undefeated.
Yeah, that guy's a monster, bro. Like a lot of people, if you haven't been hearing about Sean Brady for years and years and years, that dude's been working. High level black belt, I believe at a Daniel
Daniel
Gracie's
Gracie,
gym.
I think
Uh,
so.
like just hardcore Philly kid, man. All cool tattoos. Like that kid's the future. He's a legit fighter coming up through the ranks. He got that Belal fight maybe a little soon, but
Arguable.
but they wanted to see, where so at a
Yeah,
certain
what's up?
point with at a certain point with these up and comers, you got to give them a hard fight and see if they're ready to make the jump. And
Mhm.
this time, it proved that maybe you get them a couple more wins and then try again for like the top 5 area. But Belal put it on him. Like he really, really was like, no, this is my spot. But to my point, this is what my point is. How many of these up-and-comer killer lions are you going to throw at Belal until he proves, like, why he's at the top? Now you're giving this guy Shavkat?
We're giving him Shavkat. We're giving
What?
him Shavkat Rachmanov next.
Dude,
That's just criminal. That's criminal.
it does seem like they're almost trying to kill Belal off or something. I mean, it'll be so undeniable if he wins that fight. Like, dude, you have to give him the title shot. Like, you have to. Plus, he already has the little bit of background drama with Leon. Like, it's a good story. People
Indeed.
would want to see that fight again.
It's so it's just unbelievable what they're doing to Belal right now, and you have to feel for him. Like Jon Anik said, you have to just feel for him, no matter if you like him or not. He's on a whatever winning streak he's on. He's beating everybody, newcomers, old timers, vets. He's beating everybody. I just it just doesn't make sense. And that point that Shaw made that you brought up is really starting to, click a little more now that this whole situation is unfolding. So whatever's going on behind the scenes is just not right.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's true. It's an interesting theory. It sort of seems like it makes sense because why else? I mean, I know Colby's kind of, he's a cash cow to the UFC, and I get that. He creates a lot of buzz, and whenever he fights, but at a certain point, like I'm all down with selling fights. Like I understand the business side of it, but at a certain point, you have to do what's right, man. And
you want the best fighters.
You want the best versus the best, and you want the guys that have like walked through the fire and proven that they belong there. And not for nothing, man. Belal is more than he's so far past deserving a title shot. It's like almost like not funny. It's like when you used to joke about it. When are we gonna? Now it's like, come on, man. Like what do we do?
Yeah, I mean,
let's see. Do you know the top 5 rankings off the top of your head? I think we got Leon's the champ, Kamaru number 1.
I think Colby's still number 2.
Colby's 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got to be.
Belal should be up there somewhere.
It's got to be Belal. It's got to be Hamzat. It's got to be.
Oh, Hamzat's number 3, I think. Belal, and then maybe. I have it somewhere. I don't know. I don't have the 5th.
So that's to my point as well. Is Chimaev a welterweight?
No,
because he's been talking all kinds of crazy mess too. And not for nothing, I would love to see Hamzat and Colby fight. I think that should have been the fight. Belal should have gotten the title shot. Colby and Hamzat should have fought for the next title shot. But this guy's not even a welterweight. What are we even talking about?
He's calling out light heavyweights.
You say the guy's talking all kinds of crazy, man. And not for nothing, it was fun when he talked all crazy on the mic.
Yeah.
When he was fighting twice
Every
a month.
week.
Yeah, like that was. It was like, okay, this guy's wild. When's the last time he fought? If he fought Gilbert Burns.
Well, to be fair, nobody wants to fight him.
Yeah, but come on, this is what I'm getting at. If you're in the top 5 and you get somebody else who's in the top 5 and you say, okay, this is a number 1 contenders fight, they're gonna fight him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wait until you're what? Maybe either you become the champion and then you got to fight him. Like these top guys have to fight him at a certain point, but he needs to pick a weight class. If he can't make 170, we just gotta
Ditch it.
you just stop even talking about these guys. I mean, there's a lot of matchups that would be great and fun for him there, but if he can't do it, or if he doesn't want to anymore, then let's get him out of the rankings, get him up to 185 and start matching him up there. Because like we talk about all too often, 170's jammed up and we don't need any like wild cards that we're not really sure if they're even in the weight class or not. It's like we already have enough problems as it is.
There's a lot of problems, and a spectator at number 2 ranked is not what we need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a way you get people to fight a guy like Hamza. You promise a number 1 contenders fight against him. That's what Colby should be doing. I love that fight, Colby versus Hamza. I think that's a great fight. I actually, as much as I'm kind of dogging on Colby this past couple days, I think Colby has all the tools to win that fight.
Yeah.
And
we were talking about that before, like at the gym one day. Yesterday, I think.
That's like the only fight that I think I've ever like not only thought he would win, but actually would want him to win. I think it would just like be fun for the division if somebody like Colby goes in there, makes Hamzat take a backward step, stuffs a couple takedowns, puts the pressure on him. Let's see if his gas tank is as good as mine.
Yeah.
Like, because Colby never gets tired. We've never seen it. You know what I mean? Like 5-round fights, like pure pace, and he's conditioned 100%. He's got the NCAA All-American, experience. Like he's probably not going to get taken down. He's got the cardio. His hands might not be as powerful, but his volume is ridiculous. I mean, I wouldn't say that Robbie Lawler definitely has more power than Colby, but he couldn't get off a shot against Colby.
Not one.
You know what I'm saying? Tyron Woodley has more power than Colby. Couldn't get off a shot. So does the power really matter when you're constantly getting just like a barrage of Colby Covington all over you? I like that fight for Colby. I don't think it's right that Leon has to fight another like this type of style, especially when the Belals, all these guys are going to try to wrestle him. We talked about this in our last video. It's like if Leon's defense isn't like the best in the world right now, it certainly will be after the next couple fights that he has in front of him.
Yeah. If he keeps winning, he's just getting more and more wrestlers coming up.
Yeah.
And they don't get any easier.
No. I mean, let's break that down. How do you think the fight between Leon and Colby goes?
Look, we talked about this yesterday, and I favor Leon after seeing what he just did to Kamaru. I really do. I think Kamaru, I mean, I'm not here to do MMA math here, but Kamaru beat Colby twice.
Right.
And he was outstriking Colby. But that is also due to the fact that Kamaru has the wrestling to keep up with Colby. So the two wrestlers negate each other and become strikers. So I see that. But I just think Leon will just get better and better at game planning for these wrestlers. Now, Colby's got the gas tank and the pace that Kamaru probably does not. So that'll be different. And Colby isn't afraid of, Colby isn't afraid of taking a lot of shots. Kamaru with his knees he kind of calculates when it's a good time to shoot, and he kind of goes in when he knows he'll get it. Colby will shoot 150 times in 25 minutes.
Yeah. And I just want to say this about Kamaru's gas tank. it was never really a question
No,
until this last fight. Now, granted, I think he's 35, 36. Like, he's
he's
starting to
getting
get
up
a little
there.
bit older. He's starting to look at other careers, making movies. Now he's just kind of like 5 years ago, he was the guy that wanted to be the champion for a really long time. Now he's like, he's a rich guy. It's
Yeah.
like sort of that, now he's got the satin sheets. So he's a little bit less driven, especially financially. He already held the belt. At a certain point, people were talking about him being the greatest welterweight of all time. So it's like, he's already kind of like did that. Maybe his training wasn't, who knows? But my point is, his cardio was never really a question until more recently. Now, to your point, Colby he is a machine. He will not turn off. His RPMs never go down. It just stays all the way up, redlined the whole time. And he'll walk forward. Is Kamaru Usman striking better than Colby's? I think he hits harder, but I don't know if his striking is better.
I think it is.
You think it's actually more technical?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be.
Yeah. Just from what I've seen, I will say I believe what my eye says, yes, it is. But I could be wrong.
I mean, you could be right too. I mean, he's got one of the best striking coaches in the world. So.
Yeah.
But I almost make that a wash in my head. Like, their striking it's just a little different, and it's stylistically. Leon's striking light years ahead of both of them. Yeah, his striking is extremely crisp. Can he utilize his kicks the same way he did against Usman to keep that distance, keep Colby off of his jockstrap for more than a couple seconds? Because that's all Colby needs. If he just throws 3 or 4 hooks at you, runs in and rushes your legs, it's going to be a long night for Leon Edwards, especially 25 minutes, because we already know Colby's not going to get tired. If he can utilize almost nearly the exact game plan that he used against Usman, I do see a world where Leon Edwards is still the champion. And I hope he is, because if he loses, man,
he's been through it.
And we're just not going to hear the end of it from Colby. And it's just going to be one of those wins where you're like, man, you didn't deserve it in the first place, and now he wins. It's like, oh, it's going to taste so bad.
Belal to our
bad,
savior.
Man. And then, yeah, who knows? Then it just the division will go crazy again. But I don't know. It's definitely a crazy time in this division. I hope we get a long reign of Leon Rocky Edwards. It doesn't have to be 10 years, like it was Anderson Silva's and John Jones's and Jose Aldo's. We don't need that. But I'd love him to defend his belt a few times, knock off some of these top contenders. Just stay in it. I want Belal and Rakhmonov, figure it out. May the better man win.
I don't want to see either lose.
I don't either, but now that it's pretty much going to happen, I guess we just got to see. I think this is one where we see if this is sort of like the Hamzat and Burns fight. This is we've seen Rakhmonov looking exceptional. Hasn't really been tested yet. Jeff Neal
put him to the test.
Pumped the brakes a bit. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, man, are you sure you want to come up to the top? Now he's in. You're going to get somebody like Belal who's going to meet you there, with the wrestling, with the striking. It's really going to test Shavkat. If he does win, power to him, man. Now he's really in the top 5 to this day. If Hamzat ain't 170, get him out of the rankings. Match him up with a 185er. I'd love to see him versus Robert Whittaker.
Oh, man, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, but we need to figure out what the hell's going on with this division. And these two fights specifically, the Shavkat and Belal, and then you got Colby and Leon. After those 2 fights, I think we'll know who's going to fight next for the belt. Whoever wins those 2 fights, more than likely going to fight for the belt next. And This division is slowly starting to find its lane, I guess, its place.
Slow and steady. The 5th ranked is Gilbert Burns, by the way. It just clicked in my head.
Burns,
So
who's about to fight Masvidal, who Masvidal has almost more of a claim at Leon than Colby does.
brings a whole new story.
It never ends with this division. If Masvidal goes out there and beats Burns, not saying that he will, but if Masvidal can beat Burns,
That'll shake it all up.
then he's right there. Because this is what we
man.
talk about all the time with the eyeballs on the sport and how many fans do you have? If, let's just say hypothetically, Tyler, okay? Not saying this is what I think is going to happen, but just imagine this scenario. Imagine Belal beats Shavkat, a boring, slow, brutal 15-minute decision, okay? Grinds it out. Nobody cares because it's boring, right?
Whatever.
Just negates the fight. Whatever. Let's say that happens. Then let's say Jorge Masvidal runs across the cage and knees Gilbert Burns in the fucking neck and knocks him out cold. Could you not see him jumping the line to settle the 3-piece and the soda with Leon Edwards?
Yep.
It could happen.
Leon or Colby?
Leon.
What if Colby wins?
Well, then Masvidal has no chance.
Wait.
The only way Masvidal is getting a shot at the title is if Leon Edwards is the champion.
Really? I was thinking I'm on the wavelength that if that whole scenario just plays out and Colby wins, Dana's going to be like, "Oh, we could do this one again. Let's do it again." Because
we already saw that fight and it wasn't good. The 3-piece and the soda was after
that was that interview, right?
Masvidal had just knocked out Darren Till, and they were interviewing him. Leon walks by, says something, blah blah blah. He walks up, puts his hands behind his back, and pops him 3 times. That
was out of my head. Now I wasn't thinking about that. Now I'm here. Now I'm here for it.
They almost tried to bury that story because not for nothing, as Uncle Chael would say, that's assault. That's illegal. You can't promote that. You can't really promote something like that. If they had made the fight immediately after that, it sends a bad message to all the rest of the fighters. Hey, just go do something illegal and we'll make a fight. You can't do that. That's not a good business move. So now that the time has passed, but then now they could still use that clip. Remember when Conor and Khabib fought? And there's how many times you're going to see Conor throw a dolly at the bus? We saw it every time. Same thing with this. Masvidal can leapfrog the top 5 in the division with a significant, a wowing win over Gilbert Burns. Again, not saying it's going to happen. I could see a world where that does happen. Masvidal versus Leon. And tell me right now, out of the top 5, 6, 7, top 10, who would be the most exciting fight against Leon?
That would be a fun one. That would be a fun
striker, Masvidal, or maybe Wonder Boy. We want to see Leon kind of strut his stuff a little bit, stuff and takedowns, and
stuff and takedown for 25 minutes.
Kick the leg and get up and cage walk. It's cool to see it for us. We love that stuff. It's very technical, but it's we would love to see Leon Edwards in a kickboxing match. Am I wrong?
Showcasing striking.
Yeah. It'd be a lot of fun. So this division's crazy. Now we'll back up. After those 3 fights, then we'll maybe get an idea of what the hell's going on in this division. Hopefully there's no controversy with the wins.
Yep.
It's just, this division makes my head spin.
Golly. And this is only one division. Oh, man.
It's only 6 fighters we just talked about. 7 fighters.
Oh, my goodness.
Excuse me.
What a world that would be if we see Leon versus Masvidal.
For the belt, BMF versus Undisputed.
They're still promoting.
Imagine if he ever put that belt up. That would be a big deal.
They're never going to put that belt up, but they're still going to promote him as the BMF.
I know. It would be more fun if they put the belt up. I think this is a little tangent off topic. You can clip
Sorry,
this off and make a separate little chunk of a video. How much fun would it be if the BMF belt was always on the line and it just moved from person to person? And there's only one person that ever had it. Doesn't matter what division it goes to. It just keeps moving. How much fun would that be?
How is that gonna work? One per division or just one?
No, just one. So like, let's just say, Masvidal had it, then technically Usman would have had it, then Leon would have had it. But let's just say maybe Usman went up to 205 and then Pereira beat him. It's like, well, then Pereira has it, and then Izzy has it, and then Whitaker has it. And then Whitaker went back to 170, and then someone at 170, and then Leon has it again. Like, let's make that thing always on the line. You're either the BMF or you're not. I like having that belt out there. I think it's fun.
Adds a new element that would be a little interesting.
Yeah, like it's just like a cool, fun little belt. I mean, we all know the real BMF's Nate Diaz, boy.
He's still throwing shade at Leon with that one punch in the last round.
Of course, you have to.
He's still throwing shade. Love that.
You have to, man. Look, if you're Nate Diaz, right? Think of I think it was the last 3 fights he had. Conor McGregor got an immediate title shot after fighting Nate Diaz. Leon Edwards got an immediate title shot after fighting Nate Diaz. There's someone else. There's another one. Who else did he fight? Jorge Masvidal got an immediate title shot after fighting Nathan Diaz. So let's not pretend like Nathan Diaz can't hang with anybody in the world, right? There's styles that could obviously make him look kind of bad, but I didn't mean to make this a Nathan Diaz video.
This is a great video.
If we're talking BMFs, the Diaz brothers are always going to be in that conversation. If I have anything to say about it.
Oh, I mean, if they're not, then there's something wrong with you. But
then you're lying or you're a hater.
You're a hater. Oh man, this video I had a blast doing this video because it was kind of just ranting the whole time. But I mean, we really had some solid points, I think. And I would love to hear arguments in the comments. I just want to hear other points of views too. So
yeah, there's a lot going on in this video, but there's a lot going on in this division.
You gotta feel bad for Belal right now. He's getting chop caught next. Doesn't get a shot at the title. Now he's got to go through a killer. Colby's getting a title shot. And we sound like, I was listening to us throughout this whole video, we sound like a bunch of Belal fanboys and Colby haters. For the record, I love Colby Covington as a fighter, and I love Colby Covington out of the character. He's a great, the only thing I've heard from him is that he's a great guy outside of like his character. So I'm not a hater on Colby Covington, but it's just the way things are going right now where it sounds like I'm a hater.
Yeah, no, I don't hate Colby Covington either. I think he's a great fighter. I mean, I have, picked against him, but there's certain fights that I like for him, and there's certain fights I don't like for him. That's not really his, that's just what it is. And Belal, I almost always pick against Belal, and he proves me wrong every time. So I'm not hanging off Belal's Schwanson either. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, Belal's obviously a good fighter. I picked against him with Vicente Luque. I picked against him for Damian Maia. I picked him against him for Sean Brady. I've been picking against this guy for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And he keeps proving me wrong. And not that you need to prove me wrong to get a title shot, but like, how many fights do you have to win in a row to get a title shot? He's the welterweight Benny Dariush.
He's the boogeyman.
Dude, he's beating everybody, so he deserves it. That's all it is. I call it like the way I feel is right.
Just calling it as I see it and how the story's unfolding. And I try and keep my biases out of it.
I don't, but I'll tell you when I'm biased at least. I'll tell you the truth.
I
about
try
my
and stay
biases, but
unbiased.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I
of
don't even.
course, of
Yeah,
course.
I don't. Hey, no, this video is going off the rails. I don't know what else I
Now,
have to
yeah,
say.
let's wrap it up. Let's
Shout
wrap
out
it up
Belal Muhammad. Shout out
before
Colby
we start getting
Covington.
crazy.
Shout out the welterweight division. That's all I got.
If you're in the top 10 of the welterweight division, good
You're
luck.
one of the best.
Yeah, you certainly are, and good luck figuring all this mess
Good
out.
luck getting a title shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
I
luck
got
to
nothing
Leon
left.
Rocky Edwards.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
no, I'm good. I'm
He needs
spent.
all the luck. I hope he's grappling. I hope he's wall walking. And I hope
I'm
he's ready to kick
sure
a
he
lot.
is. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
That's all we got.
Well,
I'm burnt.
yeah, same here. Thank you, Tyler.
Good.
This has been fun.
Hey, great video. Good luck to the welterweights. We'll see you in the next one.